Welcome to the Take a Breather podcast with Eric Almeida and Stacy Every. We are certified emotional freedom technique practitioners. And on this podcast, we discuss how EFT can improve your mental and physical health by bringing real healing to the body and mind. We also have different types of practitioners visit us on the show to tell us about their healing methods and how they facilitate deep healing. Please give us a 5-star review on Apple and like and subscribe to us on YouTube. It helps the podcast a lot. So today I'd like to introduce Kate Hennessey. She is a licensed massage therapist and EFT practitioner located in East Hampton, Massachusetts. Kate, thank you so much for being on our show with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. I'm going to turn it over to Eric.
So let's start off with the basics of what does it mean to be a licensed massage therapist, and how did you get into that?
So I've been practicing for, let's see, I went to school in East Hampton in 2016, finished in 2017. So I've been practicing for about a handful of years, and I got into it because I love working with my hands. Before I became a massage therapist, I was really involved in sustainable agriculture, and having that connection to the land and my community that way felt really meaningful to me. But farming proved to be really taxing, really hard on the body. I still have a garden, but combining farm work and then getting into massage just proved to be too much on my body. And how did I get into it? I kind of actually just woke up one day and thought, I think I want to be a massage therapist. And at the time I was living in Florence, Massachusetts, and realized that the massage school was just right down the road from where I was living. So it was kind of meant to be. And it's been such an incredible healing journey for myself, other people that I've worked with. And I love it because, again, using my hands, using my body, and just being present that way with one person at a time has felt really impactful for me.
That's awesome. So did you have a lot of exposure to massage therapists prior to becoming one yourself?
No, not really. I've had probably 3 or 4 massages actually before I entered massage school. And I thought about it as just like, oh, it's just like a luxury. Like, I don't really need that. And it proved to be so much more than that. While I was in school, there was so much more than just, like people say, like, getting a back rub. It was way more meaningful and so much more behind that. And in a way, I felt like I had gone through like a spiritual awakening when I was in massage school. And actually, right before I went to school, I went to Ecuador for about 5 weeks. So that probably initiated things, waking up and being present and becoming aware of what's important to me, and how to share that awareness with others.
How did you end up in Ecuador, if you don't mind my asking?
Yeah, so let's see. So that was 2016 in February that I was there for about 5 weeks. And before that, a few years before that, I was living in California. I was in AmeriCorps doing salmon restoration, outdoor work, something I've, felt called to for a long time. I went to college for environmental studies. And so while I was there, I connected with my roommate's cousin, who I was just talking with about traveling and, what I have plans to do in my life at some point. And he mentioned that he had a friend who had a biodynamic farm in Ecuador. And so that, I put that on the back burner. That was actually in 2013 that I learned about this farm. And a couple years later, I had moved to Massachusetts, and it kind of came back to that place. And at first I thought about going to Costa Rica to do similar work, but that didn't work out. And then I remembered there was this place in Ecuador that someone told me about. So I reached out to that person who's actually originally from New Zealand and then moved to Ecuador and had been there farming, doing biodynamic farming for a few years. And yeah, I connected with them, and I was there for probably about 3.5 weeks back in 2000, the winter of 2016. And it was so intense and so scary and so beautiful. It was my first time traveling internationally by myself. And yeah, it was really eye-opening to see other cultures and how other people live and how it's possible to live in community and how other people are doing that. And yeah, it was wild, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. And I have been itching to travel again, and hope to do that within the next year.
So I'm no expert in agriculture. What is a biodynamic farm? How is it different from
I had
a
the same
conventional
question.
farm?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a while since I've kind of thought about it and have, participated in that work, but it's really interesting because there are spiritual elements to it and combining it with like rituals. So we did things like making compost and stirring the compost in the ground, like in a dirt hole, for about an hour. And doing it in a certain direction proved to be more beneficial to the land, to the spirits. And I want to say that this person also believes in like fairies and gnomes and how they interact with the land and how we can interact with them. And what else? There's also a component to using herbs. So herbs like chamomile, lavender, many other herbs placed inside of like a cow or bull's horn that's actually buried in the earth, and fertilizing the earth that way and having a ritual around that. And also the compost that we stirred after letting it sit for, I think it was a week or so, we spread it all over the land. And so having a ritual that way, and he was very intentional about the work that he was doing. And so that's a little bit about it. I'm sure there's a lot that I'm missing, but that's what I remember experiencing there.
Well, that description makes a lot of sense with what you were saying about having that spiritual awakening by being exposed intimately to those spiritual rituals around, planting and growth with the earth and all of that. That's certainly not something. I would be amazed if that would be easy to find in the States in any capacity, to have that level of concern for the earth, considering how industrialized the U.S. is.
Right. There are people doing it. I think there's an herbal farm, I want to say in Maine, that integrates those practices into their farm. But it was very new to me, and it was just really, really wild. When I got to the farm, it was, there was a river behind the house that was just so loud, and just I don't really know how else to explain it, but the energy just felt so intense. Like everyone that arrived at the farm had gone through some kind of spiritual awakening, because like all of our shadows have been brought to the surface. So it was like, you're here, you need to deal with this in a way that feels, safe and comfortable, and know that you're supported in this community. So it was beautiful and scary, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
That's so fascinating. That's very interesting. That's such a cool experience. And so part of that, like you were saying, when you came back, was just having this realization of pursuing the massage?
Yeah, so before I had gone to Ecuador, I applied to massage school in January of 2016, and I got in, but I knew that I wanted to go abroad before I made that happen. So if I had not planned to go to massage school, I don't think that I would have came back right away. Granted, I was gone for, 5 weeks, which is a good amount of time, but a lot of people that I met were traveling for, months at a time, sometimes longer than that.
That's so interesting.
I, you know, I always think, there aren't, two people talk about, there being one thing being a metaphor for something else. And I don't think it's a metaphor. I think there's just repeating patterns. And farming, I see like what you're talking about with the farming. I actually see the parallels between that and massage, right? As far as like working with the land to create abundance and flow and health, especially the kind of rituals you're talking about in Ecuador, as far as really like seeing, because I think it's a piece of holistic medicine that's so vital and needs to get to go out into the Western medicine, is like honoring the person's own healing capacity and journey. And so rather than just extracting from the land and forcing on this, forcing the chemical fertilizer, forcing it to produce the same crop year after year and extracting from it, or forcing it into a certain mode, it's a conversation, it's a relationship, and we're mutually beneficial to both the human who needs the food and the land who is getting this nourishment and the compost and the fertilizing, and then just the love and respect and gratitude from the humans who are there. It's just a much nicer relationship. And I feel like holistic medicine is the same way, right? We work with the person and with their healing capacity and honoring their own journey at the same time, and not just getting money from them or getting validation from them how smart we are. It's a similar relationship that we have with our clients, I think, as massage therapists.
Yeah, that's so beautifully said. The integration between farming and massage, and I definitely see a lot of parallels to that.
So in what ways have you incorporated that spiritual component into your massage?
So for me, as the practitioner, it's about being really grounded and centered in feeling at peace in body and spirit. And so before starting a session, I might just set an intention for myself, or it's as simple as noticing my feet on the earth and feeling held and grounded in that moment, and inviting my own breath to be calm and steady and slow. And it's in a way, without even telling the client how to breathe, just being an example, I think is key for them to be present in the space. However, with first-time clients, I'll, lead them in, feeling the weight of their body on the table. Take a few slow, deep breaths. You're here to care for yourself and your body. And then we get started.
Do you, in fact, so you specifically mindfully incorporate breath work into your massages on a regular basis with your clients?
I would say that it's less of me guiding them and me just being an example for them. However, before, when I first meet someone, we have a conversation about areas to focus on and what's worked for them in the past, or if there's anything that they don't like. And I will often say, if something's feeling uncomfortable, please let me know, and tune into your breath and breathe through it in a way that feels comfortable. And if I see someone tense up in a certain area, then that's like a cue for me to check in with them and see how they're managing and if there's anything that can be adjusted. So it's more of me as an example rather than me setting guidelines or expectations on my clients, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I know it's a, I mentioned this before, I know there's a term, entrainment, that I was taught, which is, so it's, it's so funny. There's so many things we think of little kids needing that you stop needing once you're an adult, but actually those impulses are still there, like being rocked. Like there's a whole, I think it's Traeger, which is just about rocking the person in a particular way to help the body release. And then, so entrainment is when you take you have a baby and the baby's nervous system is still developing. And when you hold them, they are trained, they become trained by your own heartbeat and your own breathing. And that we don't stop doing that. We'll still, if we're tuned into someone in the room, we'll still go into sync with the person, especially if we see them as a trusted, an ally or someone who is in charge, so to speak, that we will in fact follow along their lead automatically without, it's a completely unconscious response, the entrainment, we'll start breathing more slowly just because the practitioner is. And so A, and B, listening, there's an EFT symposium this weekend about the research and science behind EFT. And it's true, but just the research is ridiculous about how much healing happens just by relaxing the nervous system. Like how many problems go away just by taking out the stress response. So like just laying there and making sure your client's breathing in the slower breaths, and their heartbeat is their blood pressure goes down, and the heartbeat slows, and it's that all by like just that. If we didn't lay hands on them, they're going to feel better at the end of the session just because of that. The cortisol levels going down is so profoundly effective in a positive way, taking out the stress response.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's interesting because I feel like often people come for massage and I don't think that they're thinking about their breath when they come in for a massage. They're thinking about the hands-on work and just get in there and start working and go deeper. And it's like, that's just one piece of it.
It's a huge cultural problem. Like harder, faster, more. It's always better. Like, it's always more is automatically better. If you dig in harder, it's going to be more effective. And I think also people, there's a self-care piece that people are uncomfortable about. And so, I have to be beaten up to allow myself to lay here and get some self-care. I have to, almost I can't just accept the help and relax into it. I have to sort of pay a price for it, or it has to hurt to be effective. And it's actually completely opposite the way our bodies work.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it's important to let our clients know that. A lot of the clients that I have, it's all, mostly deep tissue, and that's just one piece of it. And also when you're working deep, it's some people, they think, oh, you can never work too deep. But it might not feel so painful now, but sometimes it hurts later. So how are you going to feel if you wake up tomorrow and you're sore? Are you going to be okay with that? Or is that going to ruin your day? So.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. It's for me, it's the extremes are never useful places to hang out. Making sure having your whole body sore at the end versus sometimes going too light. It's usually in between is where you need to sit, and being mindful about what different areas need and then just what your overall system needs. Like people often just need the breath, and they need the nourishment, and they need to be held. And that's actually going to be way more effective than any deep tissue work at all.
Definitely.
So you do cupping too, huh?
I do. Yeah. So I actually took a training in early March of last year, like just as COVID was, coming into my knowledge and probably into the knowledge of other people. So right before things shut down, I took a class. And so I haven't used it a ton. I've been using a little bit more the past couple of months. But it's still a little bit of a new technique to me, but I love it. I love receiving it. It's such a different sensation because it's, pulling up on the tissue rather than pressing down. But in that way, it can be helpful to release more tension in just a different way and have a different sensation. And also, I integrate it with my massage. So helping to, let go of those points that are really stuck and stagnant. It helps to loosen them up so that I can work deeper. And so it's really interesting.
And for those of our listeners who may not know, could you explain what cupping is exactly?
Yeah, so it involves typically, so there's some, I guess when I first heard of cupping, I heard of it and experienced it with an acupuncturist. And so Some people use glass cups. So they're cups that are, how do I describe how big they are? Maybe like the size of your fist, some that are smaller. And so I use silicone cups. And so they kind of suction to the skin in a way that feels, bringing up the tissue rather than pressing down. And it's kind of an alternative to working really deep with the body. And so it pulls up the tissue, kind of pulls things away. And oftentimes when you're doing the technique, you'll have kind of red, looks like red bruises on your body wherever you're having the cups. But it kind of depends on how much tension is there, how long you leave the cup there. I often will create suction with the cup, so you kind of squeeze it so that it closes, and then put it down on the skin so that it opens. And it kind of takes time to adjust with the tension, and so you don't want it to be uncomfortable, but you do feel it. And so I leave the cups there, but then other times I will move the cups around, which is kind of fun. And I'm not sure, Stacy, if you do that in your practice or you have any other knowledge about it.
I don't. No, it's been one of those practices. I have a client who sees an acupuncturist who goes to her for cupping. She's got a lot of chronic pain, and what I've just noticed is that I don't know if they use the glass cups. Requires a heat source, right? It can create the suction through heat somehow.
Yeah, that is a technique that I've seen probably mostly acupuncturists use more than massage therapists.
The thing I've noticed is that, so I've worked with this woman for several years, quite a few years now, and I know her problem areas. So it mostly tends to get it on her back, and how the bruises are not uniform at all. Like that some bruises are like, so say she's had 8 cups along her shoulder blades, let's just say. And the point, like there's a point where there's a neck attachment is often like super purple, like a solid and it's been days since she's seen the right, and it's still solid purple, and then they'll actually be faded out. They're different shades of purple. They're not all the same at all, and I don't know much about why that is. She said the acupuncturist says that the parts that are purple means there's like more needs to be pulled out of the system at that point, which I don't know if you can speak to that at all.
I don't know. I guess for myself, I can relate to that because some areas of my body, when I've had cupping, is that darker shade of red or purple. And I just imagine that those are areas where I hold more pain and stress. And the one thing, I'm not sure if this relates to cupping or massage in general, but I sometimes hear people say, and even I've heard massage therapists say, how massage or cupping can help, pull out the toxins from your body, which I think is complete BS.
The toxin conversation has been an interesting one over the last few years.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if you could speak to so tell me about the BS nature of the toxin conversation as you see it.
Well, I've done my own research, and I think in massage school as well, they've never told us that. I think there's just a misconception with the general public, but then I've also heard massage therapists say that it pulls toxins out of the body, but there's no research to back it up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, those kind of claims, I feel like put more pressure on the practitioner, and it's like, you're going to heal me, just work deeper. Like, I need you, like, please heal me. And it's like, no, that's not how this works. Massage is not a cure. It can be really beneficial and really helpful with someone's healing process, but it's just one modality, one thing that you can do for yourself. So I think that's kind of where I like tie into those myths about massage being like, a cure for something or pulling toxins out of the body. I think it's just important to be upfront and honest with my clients. Like if they ask me a question, I don't know the answer, I'm not gonna make it up. Like if I forget one muscle, I'm not gonna tell you it's this thing just to like say that I know everything about the body, because I'm not perfect. I forget things. So yeah, I think being really honest and transparent is important, and I think that people appreciate that too.
I think so. It's so funny. I had a thought while you were speaking about how, so yeah, the magic bullet mentality has got to go, right? And I think Western medicine has encouraged that idea that take this pill, have this procedure, all will be well. And that's not how the body works. And there's some, clearly there's some conditions where, taking medication, if you're type 1 diabetes, clearly you take medication and have a much higher quality of life, and there are times and places for it, and it's just it's always a continuum. So again, it's never either or, it's somewhere in between is the truth of what medicine is right at the time for you. So I realize I hear people complaining a lot about how, so because medicine has become so specialized, they'll often say things like, wish one person would just look at all the stuff I've been doing and come up with an answer of what's going on in my body. And it's like, actually that is supposed to be you. That actually is you engaging with your own health. And because holistic medicine is the same way. Like I'm going to say, I assume you do this a lot to your clients too, or you say, so I think you could really also benefit from a chiropractor. Do you have someone in mind? Or you could really benefit from acupuncture or physical therapy or a personal trainer. And that means, and so that means two things. One, it's them, okay, they're comfortable with me. And, they went ahead and did the self-care. Like, okay, I'm happy to go to Kate. I know she's safe. I know she's nice. I know she does a good work. Now you want me to also like find someone else to work with me. And so there's like this outside the comfort zone of like investigating more holistic medicine, but then also being really engaged with what do I need and how do I best get it? And we can absolutely be allies in this, and and trusted experts in our field, as in, I know you need a chiropractor, but I can't do that work for you, and I can't find your chiropractor for you. I can make recommendations, but now you have to go out and become engaged with this process. And in Western medicine, that's considered obnoxious. Like, oh my God, I have to do this all myself. Like, actually, yeah, you kind of do, because in fact, your own perception of your own body is a huge piece of information that you need to have moving forward. And I understand why people get overwhelmed by it, because often doctors are not terribly receptive to you doing your own, like, it's like they both say, go off and find, here's test results, but I'm not going to actually listen to what you have to say about, there's this weird like mentality in Western medicine that the patient doesn't actually know, they're not the experts. And in holistic medicine, you are the expert in your own body, which is just an educational piece that just has to happen. But I suppose it might be a weird side effect of current specialized modern Western medicine, is it's forcing people to do exactly the thing that they actually need to do for their own personal health, which is take matters into their own hands and be the ones who consolidate data and ask trusted, experts, and then come to their own decisions.
Yeah, I love that. I love that piece that you just said about you are your own expert. I think that people don't think that, insecurity or like past like diseases or traumas, it's like, oh, I just need help and support with this thing, which is valid and completely true. And we all need support of many professionals, many health professionals, not just one. So yeah, I love that piece.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the irony with all of that too, like going back to the example you gave about the diabetic, where yes, you need the insulin. If you're type 1 diabetic, you need the insulin, but then also having a dietitian work with you so that you're not still putting yourself through these highs and lows with your insulin levels. Like, that's also important. And regrettably, the specialization in the Western medicine world, they, unlike the holistic world where they're more open to being like, oh, you should do this and this and this as well, even though that's outside of what I can do for you. In the medical world, it's kind of like, why no, Like I'm the specialist in this one organ, and it's like, it's definitely this, just do this and you'll be fine. It's like, well, that organ's connected to the rest of my body. And so like, what's going on? And so, yeah, it's unfortunate that there's less of that holistic nature to it with Western medicine. It's pieces. It's almost like, we're going to take care of, oh God, what makes insulin? It's the pancreas.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's be like, okay, we're gonna treat this pancreas as if it was alone in a jar. And it's like, well, it's connected to a body that's got other things going on too.
It's connected to an endocrine system that they admit they barely know how it functions. A lymphatic system. There's the spleen. There's still like, we're not entirely sure. They take people's spleens out all the time, just like they used to they take the appendix out all the time. They only discovered in like the last 10 years the appendix served a function in the endocrine system and in it for immunity, like all this time. So there's the assumption that the individual parts not understanding how the systems work because they haven't been thinking in terms of systems for a long time in Western medicine. And it's again, the pendulum has swung so far into specialization. We all need to become Renaissance men and women again. It's my belief, where we're way better off knowing a little bit about a lot of things than we are knowing, at least, or just assuming that detailed, intimate knowledge of just one organ is going to completely serve you when you have an illness having to do with that organ.
So, Kate, what would you say would be some of the most common reasons why someone comes to see you?
Back pain is the biggest reason. And it's been kind of mixed between having shoulder pain and lower back pain. Neck pain as well. I would say since reopening after COVID, neck pain has been a focus, more so than in the past. And I think that is, from, being at the computer, working from home, doing Zoom, but also low back pain, right? Because we're sitting maybe more than we used to sit for our work. So yeah, I would say those are the focus areas that I'm sure most massage therapists can relate to.
Absolutely. Working with my clients, I actually had I don't know what kind of experience you had with this. When I first reopened, I had a lot of clients not come back. They were older, who were really coming in for stress relief, and they weren't willing to take the risk. I probably lost at least 40% of my clientele. We're just not coming back. And so then it was a very slow summer, but then it was September, and I'm not sure if it had to do with everyone was stressed about school or what happened, but the floodgates opened and I had total random people. Like, I've never had a massage before, but oh my God, I'm in so much pain. I've been working from home since March. I've been putting it off as long as possible. And they, in fact, someone called it, the whole they delayed treatment because they were nervous about COVID, but now they can't function because they're in so much pain. And it's been just person after person who has a not very good workstation. I got some information which major companies would put out there, is spending money on ergonomically correct workstations at home, so they don't have their workers aren't just suffering from sitting at the computer all day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would say I lost a good portion of my clientele as well. People with compromised immune systems or just fear about COVID.
Mm-hmm.
But the last couple of months have been really picking up. And I've seen actually a few clients recently, like you said, that have never had massage, but they're just having so much pain that they've been putting it off. But, they're seeing so much benefit to it. And it's, like, as we've been talking about, massage is just one modality, right? And I have, like you mentioned, referring people out to different healthcare practitioners is key to my work, right? Because I can't do chiropractic adjustments, but I know that you really need one. So having having healthcare practitioners to refer them to is key for having this work come full circle, because like we've been talking about, it's just one piece of it. It's not, we can't fix everyone. and we can't really fix anyone either.
No, but I find that, at least, so I live in a area, I know where you are. So just for folks who aren't as familiar with Western Massachusetts, I live in, I'm in like more of the southwestern Massachusetts, and Kate is more north, and the awareness of alternative medicine is drastically, there's like a line that goes across the state between folks who are, they know about Reiki and acupuncture and cranial psychotherapy, and then below it I have clients who still say, acupuncture, are you sure acupuncture, does that really work? Are you sure? It's needed. Like, why would that work? What's doesn't it hurt? I've spent years working on clients saying, no, seriously, just try one session of acupuncture. I think it'll help you so much. So there's this lack of awareness about holistic alternative medicine. And I don't know if you have the same, so I don't know if you have the same experience where you are, because people are way more savvy about different modalities to use for their health. Where massage, I think, is really fairly recently kind of come back as medicine and not just the spa. The spas are great and it's a lovely experience, and it's not the only thing massage is good for. And there's been a lot of education in the last 5 to 10 years about that massage is a valid medicine, a therapy. So I feel like massage has become a bit of a gateway drug it's the gateway to other modalities, right? Like, someone comes to see me because they say, okay, I know massage, I'm in muscle pain, I've heard massage isn't just about a spa, I can get some relief, and I'm willing to try massage. It seems more, it's more normal, right? So then if I say, so how about some needles? I'm the one who's the, who's the educational piece of the gateway into, there's all these other things you can try too to help, cure your pain. I mean, I still have some people who are nervous about chiropractic care even. So, yeah, I don't know if you've served that educational function as much in your area where you are, or if all your people are savvy about holistic medicine.
I would say that people have awareness of all of these things, and they're maybe a little less hesitant. But recently I've been suggesting getting actually chiropractic adjustments, and some people are just nervous about it. If you've never been adjusted, like, it's kind of a scary thing. Someone like, cracking your body in a way can be really intimidating. But yeah, I would say that people, especially over the past year, are realizing that there's not just one piece to health. Just like the mental health piece is huge. And I've had more clients recently say that massage has been more helpful in that way than it's been before.
Mm-hmm. I've had that experience too. People are coming to me mostly like, they say, yeah, my neck hurts, but I'm just so stressed out. I'm so anxious. I'm so worried. I dig at my neck a little bit, but mostly I just need to relax because I'm just over the top anxious about everything going on. And it's been, yeah, I've seen a lot more of that myself. So I'm grateful we're able to work. I mean, I picked up EFT specifically because I was worried we wouldn't be working this winter, that we'd be sent home again it was clear that we were going to have another surge, and it was going to probably be worse than the spring surge. And since we were home for almost 4 months, I thought, So I'm grateful the body workers can be out there, because it is when you're having such a hard time with mental health struggles, having body work is so beneficial and so crucial. Because again, Western medicine tends to go for antidepressants, which is, again, fine in the moment. But if this is an ongoing crisis we're having, I'm a fan of, like, I understand using antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication in this is a short-term solution, right? I think we can agree that we're better off not being on medication the rest of our lives, that we're better off finding ways to heal fundamentally at root. And body work is one of those ways to get the relief without resorting to stuff with side effects.
Absolutely.
So Kate, with you also being an EFT practitioner, what was the genesis for you wanting to add that into your options for your practice?
Yeah, similar to what Stacy just shared, when things shut down within that month, I was thinking like, okay, I got to do something else. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be back to my hands-on work. again or anytime soon. And I attended, before COVID, it was September, October, I think it was 8 or 10 weeks, experienced EFT with a colleague in Northampton in the group setting. And I just, yeah, that was my first, I guess, real taste of EFT. I did maybe a little bit before that, but doing it in a group and working with someone, I just, yeah, I remember stepping out of that first session and feeling so different than I've ever felt before after any kind of, talk therapy session, for instance. And, that talk therapy works wonders, but this, doing EFT tapping just felt so different. I just had the sense of hope, gratitude, feeling lighter in body and spirit that I hadn't experienced before. So I kept tapping on my own and throughout COVID. And I remember, I think another colleague of ours mentioning they had been training with someone locally. And so I reached out to them and didn't hear back. I was like, oh, this is not going to happen. But then it did happen. And then, I just really resonated with the work. And I think the piece that that's been missing from my work is connecting with people in a deeper way, emotionally. And massage has done that, but doing tapping, like we all know, helps to get to the root cause of those intense emotions that we experience on a regular basis. That's, come from an energy disturbance in the past or past traumas, things that we haven't healed. And so this kind of like filled the gap for me in my professional life. And it's been such an amazing tool for myself and my own clients. And I look forward to building my business and working with people that aren't ready to come back in for massage, but need, some help in their healing that they can do on their own. And I just love EFT because it is so accessible in that way.
No, for sure. So do you go down like a hybrid route where it's a massage with some tapping, or is it more you do the massage and then like if things come up, then you say that we should do a separate session? Like how have you managed to kind of juggle the merging of those two modalities together?
So it's been separate since, in person, we have the mask on, can't really do tapping. I mean, I guess you could tap on like a couple of the points, but not, it's not something that I'm integrating with massage yet. I would like to in the future. And right now I'm hosting weekly tapping circles. So inviting my clients and other people that I'm connecting with online to experience the work themselves and then, take it from there.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I forgot how much protective gear you guys have to wear to give a massage, that you guys are basically almost in hazmat suits as you're giving someone a massage. So it's kind of hard to tap on oneself considering the number of points that would be covered by even a conventional cloth mask, So I didn't even think of that. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense to kind of keep them separate for the time being.
Mm-hmm. I know it's actually disappointing that we have this restriction. I did, in fact, Kate, I did try integrating one where I have a client who's, the thing I've been thinking very hard about is how to integrate at least 10 or 15 minutes of EFT before working on someone who's had a car accident or a surgery or has, so off, if you this quality you've noticed where people sometimes come in and they're just tight all over. There's like, they'll say my neck hurts, but their whole, it's so like the fascia is like a suit we wear over the bones, right? And the whole suit is like cranked tight against the bones because they're just holding their whole bodies. And I always think, this is what EFT is for this. Like, this is like, because massage helps, right? Massage, you can absolutely loosen the system by a full body massage, and EFT is going to work, even more effectively, I believe EFT, tapping on the accident, the surgery, the recovery period, whatever it is that the body is still anxious about, and to have that little segment. I tried it once recently with a client, like, okay, can we just sit for 50, I already told her about EFT. Can we just tap for like 10 minutes and then I'll work on you? And in fact, it helped. It really did help a lot. So I haven't quite figured out how to, but it was still awkward because they get masked and it was tapping for the first time. Okay, so it's here, trying to explain where to tap through the mask and under the clothes with all the different points. So yeah, so I just, in the chair, we did it first and then transferred her to the table afterwards. But it's clearly a very useful thing to do I think for anybody, but particularly people who've had their bodies are in have had or having a traumatic response still to some event that hurt them.
Right. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that makes me want to try doing that with people before a session, right? Because it's
just to see if it can't hurt, right? And you don't have to charge them right away. Just, hey, can you be my guinea pig a little bit? I want to try and see this. You have a control person, like, do some tapping first. We'll see if it makes the massage more effective. And also it's just easier on us physically. If the system's already relaxed from just them tapping a bit and then we work on them, we save our own bodies as well. Since, you went from farming to massage therapy, wasn't a huge, definitely keeping up with the wear and tear on the body kind of career.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Here's a random thought, and since both of you are massage therapists,
I love those.
You both would be interesting input. So with the EFT, and this is usually be used more with children, but with the EFT, there's a component where you can literally be tapping on someone else. And usually it's aimed more for children because they can't figure it out on their own 100%. Could either one of you ever see yourselves tapping on behalf of the client? Like maybe like massaging them on the tapping points as a way to kind of facilitate it? Or like, do you ever see that being something you'd ever would be willing to try? How that would work, or would that be too weird?
Yes, and I'm embarrassed I didn't think of it.
Oh. Well, you can steal that idea. So.
Yeah, that would be a great, because in fact, I was watching a show once on healing, and there was an EFT practitioner that tapped on the other person for them. Okay. Actually, which I had never seen before. So yeah, I don't know, how are you, Kate? It sounds kind of cool, huh?
I was actually thinking that when Eric first asked the question, because I think maybe we talked about this at a previous time, like integrating it, doing the tapping on someone. And yeah, I like sometimes I'll think about it, but then like I get like, yeah, wonder if they'll like feel weird about it. And yeah, I mean, I guess I could see the point that I could do right now. And I feel like I do it in a way, the top of the head, because we can't, like, I don't touch the client's face now, even like eyebrow, forehead, I don't do any of that. But I always usually end a session with a scalp massage. So I find myself like doing a little bit of tapping on their head, but that's pretty much it. I think that they would be open to it. I think some people would be like, yeah, I'll try it. Sounds cool.
Yeah, I have a bunch of clients I could totally try that with also. I'm going to do that this week. I'm kind of excited.
Well, because you've got, without going anywhere on their face, you've got the top of the head, you have the collarbone, you have under the arm, and you have the wrist and the side of the hand. And there are plenty of times, like with incognito tapping, tapping in public, where as long as you're engaging one point, you are activating the energetic system in that way. So yeah, I've never paid attention how much, I guess this would be more pre-COVID without all the masks and stuff, how much you guys even touch people's faces to begin with.
I used to a lot, actually. TMJ and people with sinus, with the jaw issues, and with the and people with sinus stuff often, to help flush the sinuses when the allergies are acting up, and the forehead, and then under the eyes, like alongside the nose, like sweeping down along the points of the cheekbones. And there's muscles right under the cheekbones that are really nice to massage, along with, for those of you who want to do some self massage to relax yourself. And then down the masseter, which is the big muscle that connects the face, the skull to the jaw. I used to do all that stuff. For relaxation massage, I always did the face, because it's remarkably soothing to have your face massaged. When people, there's only but you only can get so much done in an hour. So when people had a specific, like I have chronic hip problems, I usually didn't do the face. That was something that would get skipped, but maybe it shouldn't be. But now it is definitely true. It's something interesting thing to navigate with COVID, whether I would touch their face at all or not. I mean, I feel like eyebrows might still be okay. Like forehead and eyebrows would still be okay. In fact, cool thing, something I learned from a chiropractor, Kate, interesting, is, there's the fascial trains, and they call them anatomy trains, where the fascia is all interconnected. And in fact, like the forehead, there's a piece of fascia that starts at the eyebrows and goes up over the top of the head, down the back, all the way down to your heels, in a contiguous piece. So if you release the forehead, you actually help release that whole anatomy train. So yeah. And I think I know there's acupuncture points on the forehead also, like the third eye, that third eye point right there. I know it wasn't used in EFT, but definitely used in acupuncture. So some options to
that's
mess around
great
with.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that one that goes all the way down the body. That's
Yeah.
cool.
It's crazy. Yeah. There's layers of the anatomy trains. Rolfing, I know when the Ida Rolf mapped a lot of all that stuff too, and the fascial layers and how everything, the wacky connections. There's there's a point here that connects like all the way down to the pubic bone. It's like it goes straight down the front of the body, and yeah, it's really interesting stuff. How we're all connected, internally and externally. We are all connected.
Yep.
Very cool. So what would be the best way for people to get in touch with you, Kate, if they were interested?
So my website is khmassage.com. I have all my information there about booking massage, an EFT session. I also hang out a lot on Instagram, and I'm there at katehen.healing. I find that a little easier to connect with rather than Facebook, even though they're both owned by the same person. But yeah, so that's where people can find me.
Awesome. So for all of our listeners, if you're in the Western Mass area and you're looking to get a massage, you can definitely connect with Kate Hennessey that way. And then I would assume EFT-wise, it could be wherever?
Yes.
Awesome.
All over the world. I had a EFT tapping circle just this past week and had someone from the Netherlands join, so that was great.
That's awesome.
Nice. I love that aspect of EFT and the COVID. I mean, it's like the hidden benefits of COVID, right? Connecting with people online everywhere. It's so fabulous.
Yep. Yeah.
And then I think you mentioned those tapping circles are complimentary, correct?
Yes. Yeah, I'm holding them weekly. Right now they're Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. That may change. But if people head to my website, they can find out more information there and sign up for my email list, where I, keep everyone in the loop that way.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
And before we let you go, any last words of wisdom that you'd like to share?
I think what always comes up for me is having self-compassion and taking time to rest. I think that's the biggest piece of our healing journey. No matter what you're going through, what you're experiencing, is practice being really gentle on yourself. And I like the thought of talk to yourself as you would a dear friend, because we can talk to ourselves in ways that just are not helpful and could be more harmful. So I like that piece. And taking time to rest is always a good reminder. Even if you got a full night of sleep and you're still feeling tired, it's okay to take a nap. I think it's just our society of hustle and, do as much as you can. And I think rest in itself can be a productive thing.
No, you're totally right. Self-compassion is incredibly difficult. It is easier to be kind to others compared to being kind to oneself. It's a difficult lesson to live by. But thank you so much. It has been a pleasure talking to you and having you on the podcast. And as always, we'll put all of your links to your social media and your website into the show notes. And thank you, listeners and viewers, and we'll be in touch again next week.
Thank you both so much for having me. It's been such a joy.
Oh,
Thank
lovely.
you.
Thank you.